It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the movies of October 26, 2007. And unlike the last couple of weeks where we had more than five plus movies to look at each week, we only got two to look at this week, and they're two notable big time releases. We have a sequel to Saw, and we also have Steve Carell's latest comedy. But before we get to that one, let's talk about the biggest new release of the weekend. And it is close to Halloween, so that means if it's Halloween, it must be Saw. Or at least that's what they're telling you in this ad, because, yeah, I mean, I guess for a little bit there, if it was Halloween, it meant you're getting a new Saw movie regardless, but, this is Saw 4, which picks up where the last film left off with the death of Tobin Bell's John Kramer. However, it's revealed that John had planned for his death and left behind a series of recordings and clues that would lead investigators to his final game. As the detectives try to unravel the mystery of John's final game, they are drawn into a web of deceit and deception that reveals more of the motives behind his lethal games. And yeah, if you think this is actually the final installment of this series, no. They're still going to make plenty more of these after this movie. And, yeah, this is the first time you start to notice that these movies are getting very, very repetitive. And, as elaborate and as cool-looking as the traps are in these movies, each one gets lesser and lesser and lesser with each passing movie. And this is beginning to start that trend of the movies kind of fading off into obscurity. I mean, these next couple movies would still be... This would be the last one that was one of the more successful entries in the series. And then, following that, the fifth and sixth ones would not perform as well. The seventh one would not perform as well as the other ones did. I mean, honestly, if anything, these movies are now becoming more and more known for, A, the traps, and B, the transitions to some of the shots that they have in here. We talked about it a little bit with Saw 3, and especially with its director, Darren Lynn Bousman, but this one in particular probably has one of the greatest transitions for any scene you'll ever see. I'm talking about this. The greatest thing about that particular transition is that you think it's green screen. You think they just threw the girl there and then they threw in the next scene after that. But no, they literally have a behind-the-scenes segment where they show them throwing the girl through the window, and then it's literally the next scene right there. They filmed that scene right on set, and just the way that they do it is so well done and so well put together. It kind of helps this movie elevate itself to another level, and not just the fact that, it's a film that's been kind of done to death before. These transitions are really what carry the movie over to the next level and make them something that's actually still kind of worth it in the end. Like I said, the novelty starts to wear off a little bit because the traps do get a little bit more formulaic, but little touches like that, the way the cinematography works on here, the direction that Darren Lynn Bousman takes his movies, I think that's really well done. The way they put this in these movies, and they keep the movies keep them from getting, all the way repetitive. There's those cool elements that you can add to it in so many different ways, shapes, and form. And yeah, it's a really cool thing that keeps the movie relevant in general. But like I said, like most of the movie is just the stuff we've seen done before, and the only things that really hold it to another level are those cinematography tricks, those camera tricks and all that. And yeah, you can start to see that the people that they brought in here clearly don't have the same love and dedication to the Saw movies that, Leigh Whannell and James Wan had to it, because this is the first film that was not made by them in particular, and it definitely shows. So yeah, not much more to say about that one. Saw 4, kind of the same stuff we've seen done before, but definitely has some things about it that do kind of make it work in the end, specifically with the camera work. But with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is actually our last film, and that is Steve Carell in the comedy Dan in Real Life. I mean, that's literally the crux of the movie. You have a single father played by Steve Carell who dedicates his life to his 3 girls, but one day he meets Marie, played by Juliette Binoche, at a bookstore. They get to know each other, but then Dan finds out that Marie is actually dating his brother Mitch, played by Dane Cook. And this is directed by the same guy that did Pieces of April, and this is more kind of a mainstream version of Pieces of April. We see a lot of these movies, especially in the latter half of the decade, that are these sort of Thanksgiving / Christmas type of films where families get together. I don't think it's really called that in general, but Home for the Holidays is definitely the perfect example of a movie like this film. It's very much in that same level. Like that, The Family Stone is one that comes to mind more recently. Around this time, This Christmas will come out in about the most time from this point. Nothing Like the Holidays, Wild Almost Christmas, The Best Man Holiday. All these movies are very similar to one another here, and overall, this is one that I think works very well, and both Steve Carell and Dane Cook really needed it after the year that they had. This, Steve Carell had Evan Almighty come out in the summer. That was a big flop for him. Everyone was kind of doubting whether or not he still had longevity at the box office, but this proved that he still had it. And Dane Cook, this gave him an opportunity to really. This gave him an opportunity to really show everybody that, Good Luck Chuck was not just was just a one-off thing, and that he does have some legitimately good acting abilities. I mean, we saw it in Mr. Brooks earlier in the year, and here he plays it pretty good too. These two got a great cast surrounding them: Juliette Binoche, Diane Weiss, John Mahoney, Alison Pill. You see Britt Robertson in one of her early film roles. Who else is here? A bunch of character actors you might be familiar with: Norbert Liebert, Leo Butz, Jessica Hecht, Amy Landiker. Emily Blunt is in the movie as Ruthie Draper, who's called Ruthie Pigface Draper, and everybody in the movie plays their parts very well. Everybody here works very well. The dramatic moments are not as overdramatic as they could have been, but it's a really good movie. It's a very entertaining film. It's a film that works because everybody is so committed to it, and you do get attached to all the characters. You understand why Steve Carell feels uncomfortable in this particular situation, because he had no idea that was that was his brother's girlfriend. I mean, what's he supposed to do in that situation? It's really hard to be in that situation and figure out, what's the next way to go to it. And again, if it's done really well, you can usually get past the same stuff that we've seen done before so many times, and this film does a very good job of handling it. The comedy is very good. The dramatic moments are very good. They're never too overdramatic. Everybody plays their parts to a T, and it works very well. It's a really enjoyable film. It's a film that's very engaging, has a lot of great characters to work around with, and it fits for what this movie is trying to accomplish. I think it's a very well put together film. It's definitely a very underrated movie. One I don't think gets the proper attention it deserves, but it definitely is a really good film that should be worth checking out. I highly recommend it. Dan in Real Life. And so with all that said, that's going to wrap up this episode of Time About the Movies up here. And next time, we get into the 2007 holiday movie season. And we start off with a couple of big movies, including Ridley Scott's latest film, which reunites Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe for the first time since Virtuosity, American Gangster. Jerry Seinfeld's huge, buzzworthy, no pun intended, DreamWorks animated feature. Maybe there was a little bit of a pun intended, but B-movie. We'll take a look at that one, and we'll take a look at John Cusack in Martian Child. So 3 films to take a look at to start the 2007 holiday movie season. We'll take a look at those movies coming up on tomorrow's show. But until then, thank you so much for watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, please go ahead and hit the playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. And also, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, notification button, and the bell, because you get updates on when new videos come out, and we do post new videos here every day. Now, with all that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time. And until then, as always, take care.